It hit me the moment I stepped outside that morning. Something wasn't right. My driveway, well, it looked like a bomb had gone off. But no bomb. Just a giant hole. Not a small one either. This thing was about 6 feet deep right in front of my garage, blocking my car in. Dirt piled up like a small mountain on both sides, and I could still smell the diesel from whatever machine had been here before sunrise. It was one of those moments when you stand there in shock, half amused, half wondering if you're dreaming. But it wasn't a dream. I was late for work and my car was trapped in a crater outside my house. Then it hit me. This wasn't random. This was personal. I'm Jake Miller, a detective with 20 years on the job. I've dealt with murderers, thieves, and con men, but I never expected my biggest problem would come from the person running the HOA. And not just any HOA president, but Karen Whitmore, a woman who thinks she owns every inch of Willow Creek Estates. I sighed, glancing up at the camera on my porch. Karen might have dug the hole, but she didn't realize she'd just committed a crime on a cop's property. And the best part, it was all caught on camera, perfect 4K footage. Before we dive into the details, let me ask you, where are you watching from and what time is it? Drop a comment. And hey, don't forget to subscribe for more insane HOA stories. Because if you've never lived in a neighborhood run by an HOA, you've got no idea. Picture the suburbs, perfectly trimmed lawns, identical mailboxes, pastel houses lined up like soldiers, and a rule book thicker than the Bible. On paper, it's supposed to keep the peace. In reality, it's a power trip. When I first moved into Willow Creek Estates 2 years ago, I thought I'd finally found peace. After 2 decades of working as a detective, long hours, high-pressure cases, constant stress, I wanted a quiet place to just breathe. My house sat at the end of a cul-de-sac shaded by oak trees with a small porch where I could sip my coffee and watch the sunrise before heading out. For a while, it was everything I wanted. The neighbors were polite. The area was clean. My security system made me feel comfortable. Old habits die hard, though. As a cop, I always install cameras around my house, not because I'm paranoid, but because you never know when you might need them. And let me tell you, the amount of times having evidence saved my skin, it's a lot. But then came Karen. She was in her mid-50s with that special kind of self-importance that some people wear like armor. Perfectly coiffed blonde bob, bright pink suits, and a clipboard that looked more like a weapon than an accessory. She'd been the HOA president for 8 years. In her mind, that made her the queen of Willow Creek. Her motto, compliance is beauty. It started innocently enough. One day I found a notice on my door. Your trash can was visible for 12 minutes past pickup time. I thought it was a mistake, maybe she mixed up addresses. But nope, the next week another notice. This time for grass that was half an inch over the approved length. Half an inch. I laughed it off, mowed the lawn again, and thought nothing of it. But the next morning, there she was standing across the street, arms folded, staring at my lawn like it was a crime scene. That was when I realized this wasn't about grass. This was about control. I decided to play nice. Went to one of the HOA meetings, tried to understand the rules better. Bad idea. Karen ran the meeting like a courtroom, snapping at people who spoke out of turn, using the bylaws like they were weapons. When I politely asked why the HOA charged $150 fines for things like mailbox color, her eyes narrowed like a hawk spotting prey. From that day forward, I was on her list. The fines didn't stop. Unauthorized security signage, non-approved window tint, failure to register outdoor lighting fixtures. The list kept growing, and it wasn't just me. A few neighbors pulled me aside after the meeting, speaking in hushed tones like they were afraid someone might overhear. "Be careful," one older man warned. "Karen doesn't like being challenged." Karen had created a culture of fear. Fines, liens, legal threats, things regular people didn't have the time or money to fight. But I wasn't most people. I had training, I had patience, and most importantly, I had access to public records and contacts in city government. I didn't plan to use them just yet, though. I thought maybe it would blow over. So I did what I always do. I documented everything. Every notice, every email, every word. I had cameras, body cams, dash cams, front door cams, motion sensors on the mailbox. Some people collect stamps. I collect evidence. And the more I collected, the more I saw a pattern. Karen was targeting anyone who defied her authority. A retired couple down the street got fined for non-uniform potted plants. An immigrant family was accused of running a business for selling homemade cookies. She fined a man for flying an American flag that didn't fit HOA dimensions. It was all ridiculous, but it also made her clear she saw herself as the law. Then one night everything changed. Karen introduced a noise curfew banning any outdoor noise after 8 p.m. That's when I had enough. At the meeting, I raised my hand. Does this apply to your weekly karaoke nights too? The room froze. Karen's smile disappeared. Excuse me, she hissed. I just want to make sure the rules apply to everyone equally, I replied, calm. That's when the gloves came off. After that meeting, the harassment went from petty to personal. Letters came almost daily. Notices for things like having too many plants on my porch, parking too close to my own mailbox, and using non-approved blinds. It was almost impressive how creative she got. One morning I found a notice taped to my door that made my blood boil. It said, "Failure to comply with repeated violations may result in HOA board action, including property lien over grass height and trash cans." And then it got worse. Karen started calling the police department, my department complaining that I was using my police vehicle to intimidate residents. At first I should have been furious, but instead I was fascinated. I had dealt with criminals, liars, and con artists for decades, but Karen was different. A suburban tyrant with a clipboard. I stayed composed. My colleagues at the precinct laughed when I told them about Karen. You deal with murderers and drug lords, but the HOA president might be the one that breaks you, one of them said. He wasn't entirely wrong. The tension in the neighborhood grew thick. People started avoiding eye contact when Karen walked by. Some secretly waved at me but never dared to say a word when she was around. I could have filed a harassment complaint, maybe even a defamation suit, but that's not how I operate. I wait. I watch. Because I know people like Karen. Sooner or later they always cross a line. And when they do, it's not emotion that gets them. It's evidence. I didn't realize how literally that line would be crossed, though. That was until the morning I found a massive hole in my driveway. A 6-foot deep hole. I knew it wasn't a simple threat anymore. This was her biggest mistake yet. Karen hadn't stopped with the fines and letters. She was escalating. Every morning felt like a new episode of What Did Karen Find Today? One day it was a notice about my mailbox not meeting HOA aesthetic guidelines. The next, a demand to replace my driveway gravel with approved neutral tone. She even sent a letter claiming my American flag was visually aggressive. It was absurd. The fines started piling up, hundreds, then thousands. And it wasn't just me. It felt like I was living in an HOA dystopia. A nightmare where every small detail of my life was under scrutiny. But I knew what I had to do. I started gathering everything: dates, times, photos, witness names. My notebook looked like an FBI file. The day came when Karen tried to impose a lien on my property. I didn't back down. I stood up in that HOA meeting and presented my case. Documents, photos, and video footage. I had everything, and I made it clear she was breaking her own rules. Her smug expression faltered. Her grip on power. It was slipping. And the next day it all came crashing down. The final showdown was just beginning.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.